Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Speak Easy podcast, where we go behind the scenes in the speaker and author journey and talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, but we also talk about those things that really make you the successful and paid author or speaker. No replays. And the reason why I say hashtag no replays is because guess what? Sometimes we just need the raw energy. We need the raw information. I don't do pre-questions and things of that nature. Why? Because I need you to get all of the information real, raw, straight from people's mouths who have been in the position, who are at the position that you're trying to make it to. So with that being said, those of you catching this on the replay, I appreciate you. Make sure that you check us out on iTunes and share it out. Make sure that you give us a review. I would love to know how you feel about this particular episode. Who am I? I'm Altovise Pelzer, the voice coach, professional speaker, certified life coach, Amazon bestselling author, and podcaster. I currently have 10 books that have been published with another 90 to go. Yes, I am on that journey to writing 100 books. That is my goal. That is my mission. I'm going to get it done. So with that being said, let's dive into today's topic. For those of you coming in, share it out. Because again, don't forget also put in the comments, I want to hear your response. I want to hear your reviews. I want to hear your thought process when it comes to making $50,000 a month with pay-per-click action thrillers. Now, I always get this question from new authors because this is the thing, and this is how a lot of, and no tea, no, I'm sorry, let's not even say no tea, no shade. Tea and shade. A lot of times, especially back a ways, new authors were getting hammered by publishing companies. Why? Because publishing companies had you paying out all of this money and you weren't able to recoup it back. So like they were having you pay out all this money to get the book published and to have the book cover, and you get all these copies of the books, and then you had copies and copies of books just sitting in your garage or in your attic or in your office that you were not able to sell because they taught you how to publish the book and how to make great on that whole launch day, but they did not tell you what to do after the fact. And it's been, through this whole boom of self-publishing that we've really seen people be able to go outside of the norm, the status quo, when it comes to being a paid author. So many of you are like, oh, but, if I sell enough books, then I could I'm a paid author, right? So this is the thing. So we have to first account for how much money we're putting out to actually publish the book. So how much money did you put out to publish the book? That part first. Then once you determine how much money you actually put out, how much did you actually get back in? How many books did you actually sell? How many times did you have to go? And I listen, I'm an author, so I get it. I understand. How many times did you go to book events and buy vendor tables and sell absolutely no books? How many times did you go to book fairs and book exchange, or you went and connected with different organizations that were doing things and sold absolutely no books? Let's just be real. Let's be honest. Listen, I've been there. I've done the same exact things. There are many, 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 many successful people that have done the same exact thing. Is we go and we say, okay, well, I went to this event and I paid out, I sold 10 or 20 books, but then you sold the 10 and 20 books, but how much did you pay for your vendor table? How much did you pay to get there? How much were your expenses? How much was your hotel? How much was your, how much was your flight? All of that is taken into account. So in all actuality, you selling those 20 books really didn't mean anything. And it's sad because I come across so many aspiring authors who are just like, oh no, but I want to be able to do this. And I sold this many and I'm excited. And then when you look at it at the end of the year, you're in the red. It's about finding your comfort zone sometimes, but other times it's just about finding what's going to work best for you. So here it is. Matt Rogers is 20 years old. He's college, well, they call him a college dropout. He stopped going to college. But if you're making $50,000 a month writing pay-per-click action thrillers, are you really going to go to college? Let's just be real. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. If you're making $50,000 a month writing pay-per-click, writing anything, if you're making $50,000 a month, are you really going to go to college? Let's just be honest. Most would not. Why? Because what would be the sense of you going to college if you're already in a career, you're already making money? Then there's no sense in you going to college. We got to think about that. We got to think about that understanding. Why? Because what was the purpose of you going to college? The purpose of you going to college was to get a higher education so you could get a good job, right? Right. That's a whole other conversation for a whole other episode. But I need you guys to get this understanding, because I always come to you with ideas. We talked a few weeks ago about the gentleman who sold his books and his storyline for somebody to create a video game. We think we got to come outside of the box. We got to stop thinking that the only way for us to make sales as an author is if we're selling actual books. The only way for us to make sales as an author is if we're showing up to a book convention or a book festival. Can I tell you that most times when you show up to a book festival, it's so oversaturated that you don't necessarily always connect with your audience unless you have an amazing display at your table that draws people in. People don't understand that. They don't realize that part. And so they'll spend all this money and they can't understand why they're not actually recouping the money that they're putting out. So here it is, guys. He's making $50,000 a month, not a year. Some people don't make $50,000 a year and they have a college education. He's making $50,000 a month writing pay per page. So pay per page is literally you're writing a page, they pay for that one, they read it, they have to pay for the next page. Now, the thing about it is that the pricing is really horrific. Like, I looked at the pricing through Amazon and it's like 0.0004 cents, less than a penny per page. So you mean to tell me that a lot of people have to go and click on that particular page for you to get a substantial amount of money, right? Exactly. Who has the time to calculate all that? Obviously somebody does and gets paid to do it. But not only that, when we look at it and say, okay, that means I have to be on my A game when it comes to telling this story. Did you hear that? I have to be on my A game when it comes to telling this story. Guess what? That means that if you have a story to tell and there's people willing to purchase it, willing to pay for it, guess what? Then it would behoove you to go and to see if this was going to be an amazing opportunity for you. This may not work for everybody. I get it. Everything is not going to be for everyone. Every instance, every opportunity, every collaboration, it's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. But I want you to understand that here it is. You have an opportunity to sit and write a page. Now, guys, we know, those of us that are authors, how many of you have written a page in a couple seconds, a page in like less than 5 minutes? How many of you have written 20 pages, 30 pages a day? 30 pages a day, 50 pages a day. Understand that the pay-per-click is when, of course, it all goes back to what I'm going to tell you. The main things is it goes back to your marketing. It goes back to your networking and your community. I'm going to say it again. Marketing, networking, and Community. One of the things that people fail to realize is that when you get into the right community, people will pay for what it is they want to read. We come in contact with so many people that are quote unquote don't like to read, or they haven't read since college, or they haven't read since high school. But that's not the majority of the population. That is only a percentage of the population. There are people that pay big bucks for reading books. I know I do about 2 books a week. 2 books a week, about 8 to 10 books a month. That is a lot of books, okay? I'm doing it almost about 100 books a year. That's a lot of books to read. So I put out money to get those books. Consistently put out money to get books. I just ordered a brand new book that I'm waiting to come in so that I can do a book review of it. I get books all the time. So there's people willing to pay the money for it. And it can be an audio book, an ebook. And think about it like this. If you're paying per page, it's not even a physical book. It's an ebook. If you're paying per page, you're not even paying for a physical book. You're paying for an ebook. But that means that you have to get in the habit of building your community, connecting with your community, being able to say, you know what? I know what it is they want to hear and they want to read and they want to understand or know. So I have to put that on paper. Oftentimes, we as authors fall into a really bad habit. And here's the habit. We write what we want to read. Not necessarily surveying our audience and seeing what it is that they want to read, or seeing what it is that they really want to be a part of, or the conversations that they want to have. We literally go and we write what we want to read. And the reality is that everything we want to read is not necessarily what our audience wants to read. It's not necessarily exactly what they want to hear, or what they're interested in. We got to catch their attention. How many of y'all understand that? You have to catch their attention. And when you catch their attention, you got to grab it and keep it. That part, people miss that part, guys, is that not only do I have to grab their attention, but I have to grab it and I have to keep it. How many of you understand that? A lot of people think that they still have to write a book that has like 10,000, 20,000, 40, 50,000 words in it for it to be successful. And the reality is that I don't necessarily have to write a book that big for it to be successful, simply because I have to understand my reader. So when I understand my reader, I know exactly what it is that they like. I know exactly what it is that, how much time they have to read. Do they prefer an audio book? Do they prefer an ebook? I understand those things about my reader. That, again, we're always telling you guys at the Speakeasy Podcast is that you need to survey your audience. But then it goes to, now I have to build a community. And when building a community, today you have the utmost easiest ways to build community is through social media. You don't have to show up anywhere. Eventually you'll have to show up some places, but you don't have to show up anywhere. You can talk to people online. You can talk all day, all night. You can come on once a day. You can come on once a week. But it's in the community that you really decide, is this really going to be something successful? Because guess what? Not every podcast is successful, right? We know that. Not every book is successful, right? We know that. So it's because of the people that listen, the people that read it and share it out. That's the biggest thing. And let me tell you, this is a hack for all of you that have been talking about the algorithms. The reality is that the hack is community. That part. The hack is community. The more that you have, the more people you have sharing out your information about your classes, about your book, about your live events, sharing out your live streams, sharing out your posts. The more people that are sharing out, not just you sharing it out, the more people that are sharing out the information, that puts you in a position to reach more people. It changes. The algorithm is always going to be changing, but you have a free opportunity to build a community. You have a free opportunity to reach people. So here it is. I'm not a big action thriller reader fan. Is that a thing? A reader fan of action thrillers. I'm a fan of action movies and thriller movies, but I'm not really a fan of action thriller books per se. I do a lot more of the self-help, motivational, business books. I love business books. I'm always buying business books. And so that's not my genre that, I would necessarily pay, and want to do that whole pay per page thing. On the flip side, as for the author on the flip side. But when it comes to the business books and things of that nature, I think those, for me, because that's the genre I'm always purchasing the most, they're the book titles and the book authors that I'm most interested in. I may, buy and it go to them as a pay per page payment. That may work for them. It may work. Now, there may be others. Again, it all depends on what you're writing. Because all of us know that there's some people that write books that sound like the Dry Eyes guy. And the books, when you read it, it sounds like the Dry Eyes guy is narrating it. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that narrates I have like a voice that I hear when I read it. Maybe that's just me. I'm a little different. It's okay. But I need you guys to understand that, guess what, guys? You have an opportunity here. If he can make $50,000 a month with pay per click, writing actions and thrillers, then what's stopping you from making $50,000 a month as an author? What's stopping you from making $50,000 a month as an author? It's that you're not going out and getting the information. You're not going out and creating the platform. And you're not networking. You guys, this is a great opportunity for you. Why? Because guess what? This is not something that you're going to hear from everybody. This is not something that everybody's going to tell you, go out and go for it. Go for the gusto. No, they don't always do that. The reality is that you have to get into a circle, into a community, in order for you to understand that there are so many opportunities out here for us as authors to be a paid and successful author. Now, you guys know that I'm always sharing with you about how you can do courses, you can be a coach, you can be a speaker. There's so many other ways for you to add revenue to your bottom line as an author. But the reality is that some of y'all, and this is sad but true, have this side hustle mentality. And I get it. As an author coming in, a lot of times that was the mentality of most, especially in the self-publishing stage and age that we're in, is that everybody has this side hustle mentality. And so the side hustle mentality is, I do what I can when I can, but it's not, I don't have a strategy. I don't have a plan. I'm not putting things on paper. I'm not having, a goal of how many books I want to sell a month, how many books I want to give away, how many books I want to sell on Amazon or on Barnes and Nobles or any of the websites. We don't have a strategy. And that's what made so many people despise wanting to be an author way back when they only had publishing companies to go through, because nobody had a strategy. And when you don't have a strategy, you'll look at somebody like this who's making $50,000 a month from pay per page, and you'll try to figure out, what am I doing wrong? Why are they making $50,000 a month and I'm hardly making $5,000? How are they making $50,000 a month and I can't even get people to give me a review on Amazon? I get it. I understand. I know your struggle. As they say, the struggle is real. I know your struggle. But the reality is, guys, we got to get out here. How are you networking as an author? Who are you networking with? Who are you talking to? Listen, I told you a few weeks ago, we talked about, turning your book into a game, a video game. Could you imagine the reach for your game, for that book? And I think that particular company, now it was a bad story. I don't know if they've been able to finalize it and fix it all up or whatever they needed to do. But $33 million in sales of the game, 33 million copies sold globally by the end of 2017. The opportunities are endless. And so the more that we sit back and think, I'm not able to do this, I'm not able to do that, I gotta have it, I gotta be rich in order to make sales. What? No. You just gotta be creative. And so when you think of an action thriller, listen, you can make an action thriller and that thing can be jam-packed with all types of stuff that people love. Now, when you think about action thrillers, you think of, Fast and Furious, and you think of some of these other, amazing movies. But guess what? A lot of the movies that we see coming out originated from books. Television shows, plays, movies originated from books. I was just talking to a client in a mastermind class who was looking to make their book into a play. It starts from a book. It's the story. Don't box your story into only being a book. I'll repeat that for the cheap seats just in case you missed it. Don't box your story into just being a book. There are so many other ways that your story can be heard throughout the world. There's so many other ways that your story, that your message, that your book, your storyline can be heard throughout the world. It takes you getting up off of your BUTT and determining that you're going to make it happen. It's a strategy that you're going to need to create. And realize that, guess what? There's other authors and speakers that are already doing it. Matt Rogers is already doing it. I commend him for making $50,000 a month at, writing books. Listen, $50,000 a month for pay per page, go for it. Listen, and I'm going to tell you why this is such a great boom. So if you haven't shared it out, definitely share it out. And again, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Or again, write their review on iTunes and leave me a comment or a question. I'll always come back and engage with you guys. But I need you to understand that in this day and age, what is one of the number one things that teenagers are reading? I'll wait, because a lot of you don't know. But you have teenagers in your home and still don't know. I'm waiting. So in today's age, guess what? Teens and college students alike are reading fan fiction. They're reading on a regular basis, guys. Reading on a regular basis. Without you forcing them, without you making them sit down and read it. They're reading fan fiction. So as an author, what's stopping you from getting into the fan fiction area? What's stopping you from creating books that could be pay per page? Ding, ding, ding. Are the bells and whistles going off? Is the light starting to flicker in your brain? Why is it that you're not putting information out there as fan fiction? And I mean, they'll sit and watch for hours. They'll sit and read for hours, and wait for the next part to come out. They're excited about the next part that's going to come out. The same way that somebody would be excited about, version number 2 of your book, or book number 2, book number 5, or volume 3 of your book. They're the same level of excitement. So when you see a trend in the industry, you have to pay attention and say, how can I work this trend for my business? how can I work this trend for my business? And I see you guys rolling in. Yes, exactly. How can I work this trend for my business? There are many ways that you can work this trend for your business, as with transcribing videos, with it doesn't necessarily have to be fan fiction, but look at the trend, look at what it is that they're doing, look at the business model of it, and then go from there. If you look at the business model of it and then go from there, because I have a storyline that I'm about to do the same thing with. I'm looking forward to doing it. It's a storyline that I wrote out years ago, years and years ago. But when I think about it, and I think now is the time, because I'm watching what's going on in the industry, and I'm watching, okay, this would be a story that would fit into their persona, fit into what it is that they like to read. It would fit perfectly. Well, guess what? We get into this whole mindset, oh, is anybody going to buy it? Listen, we as authors, let's be honest. We get to, oh, is anybody going to buy it? Oh, is anybody going to want to read it? Listen, $50,000 a day. If somebody told you that moving forward in your vision, moving forward in your passion and your purpose would grant you $50,000 a month, what would you do? Would you stay where you are? Would you let everything else take precedence over your gifts and your talents? Would you determine that it is now time for you to write the book? Would you determine that it's now time for you to get on stage? So many times we don't think of it in that persona. We don't think of it in that way, because we're thinking it's going to take more money to get the book published. It's going to take money for me to get things done. It's going to take money for me to get this done and that done. But the reality is that you could be making $50,000 a month if you just stop listening to the naysayers and just went and moved forward in your business. There are people that go and they do whatever it is that they like, and they're moving forward in that thing that they like, making thousands and millions and billions of dollars, and you still think it's too hard to go and do what it is that you want to do, what you like to do. It's too hard. It'll take too much time. Can I tell you that it's harder staying where you are than it will ever be moving forward? Ooh, that'll preach. Ooh, that'll preach. It will cost you more staying where you are, because you miss out on so many things. It costs you more staying where you are than it ever will cost you moving forward. So for all of you that have been questioning, is now the time to write the book. For all of you that have been questioning, is now the time for me to go and start being a speaker. For those of you that have been questioning, is now the time for me to start my business. Yes, now is the time. Why? Because guess what? If you don't start today, when will you start? I get it. We put it off. You guys, we're about to roll into a whole new first quarter. What's going to happen New Year's Day? New year, new me. Oh, yeah, I'm going to lose 50 pounds and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And the reality is that some of you could be successful right now if you just got started today. He literally, and I keep saying he dropped out. And it's because that's in the headlines, that's what makes people's mind, perk up and they want to read the article, that because they keep calling him a dropout. But the reality is if you were making $50,000 a month, would you continue to go to college? If you were already making $50,000 a month, would you continue to go to college? Answer that to yourself. Would you continue to go to college if you learned how to make $40,000, $10,000 a month? Listen, some of y'all don't even make that amount in your job. I told you, some of you don't even make $50,000 a year. So if I could make $50,000 a month, would you really keep going to college? Would you really keep going to school? Especially if it's something that you love. It's something that you love to do. Because it's not like he's writing dissertations. He's writing action thrillers. This may be something he's completely passionate about. Guess what? That means the thing that you're completely passionate about, somebody could be waiting for you to write it so you can make your $50,000 a month. Now, I don't know about writing $50,000 a month, worth of stuff. I don't know how much time he puts into it. And that's the thing, because guess what? We can't think that making $50,000 a month means that he's only writing for an hour a day. No, he may have days where he's writing for 15, 16 hours. But the reality is that if you were working a job, you still would not be making $50,000 a day, but you would put in more energy at the job. You would put in more time at the job. Listen, I know I'm speaking good right now on this Good Speak Easy podcast today. You would spend more time at the job. You would go into the job sick, go in early, stay late, do stuff off the clock, do stuff that wasn't even in your job description. You'll do all of that for $45,000 a year. And I found that as we get a lot more of the newer speakers and the newer authors that are coming in on the platform, they're not really having that same work ethic when they come into the platform because they think that this is the side hustle. Being a paid author is the side hustle. Well, Matt Rogers, his side hustle is his full-time career. Don't worry, I'll wait. $50,000 a month, we have to get a better understanding of what it is that we can really achieve as authors and speakers. And this is, I can tell you, and this is, so I guess this is my rant episode. Because I applaud Matt Rogers. Matter of fact, I'm going to reach out to see if I can have him on as a guest. I applaud him because that's amazing to be able to do something that you really love. But I get so many questions from people who say, oh, well, can you really be a paid speaker? Well, how much do you charge the people that are doing the event? Can I tell you that when you look at some of the people who are most successful as paid speakers and paid authors, they don't necessarily get paid from the event itself, but they learn how to sell from the stage. They learn how to convert people. And a lot of times the reason why you're not a paid speaker is because you don't know how to convert people. The reason why you're not a well-paid author is because you don't know how to sell. And as someone who has 15 plus years in sales, I hate sales. I hate sales. But I know what the journey looks like and I know what the process is. Do you realize that there are certain colors that people use in order to make you buy? There's certain colors that people use and certain wording that people use in order to bring you into their store? Guess what? The same thing goes for you as the author and the speaker. There are going to be certain things that you're going to do, say, wear, have on your cover, have in your bio that are really going to help you propel your business as a speaker and as an author. And people miss that part. People miss that part. They really do. So here it is. He's making $50,000 as pay per page. Hey guys, I see you guys coming in. Thank you for sharing. Pay per page, $50,000 a month. Man. And there's going to be somebody out there that says, that's a fluke. That's not real. There's going to be somebody out there that says, you're not really making that much money. You can't make that much money as an author. You can't make that much money as a writer. Yeah, you can. And this is the thing. So even if it was the paper page wasn't paying him that much, we have to understand that as authors, when we decide that we're going to make this our full-time career, then what does that really mean? So now you have Fiverr where you can do jobs as an author. And I know we get, our head all over the place because we're like, but that's $5. No. If you go on to Fiverr.com, you'll see that it's more than $5. It's a lot more than $5, okay? And so you have to understand that. But I can go and Fiverr, Guru, all of these different websites if I want to go and get more opportunities for me to write. Listen, there's ways for you to go and find more opportunities for you to be a speaker. Again, most of you don't even network the right way. If you go to bit.ly/plug in my voice, you can get plug in 25 power networking tips for introverts, startups, and the success, because that is one of the biggest reasons why you're not gaining access to ideas like these and opportunities like these is because we're simply not going and connecting with people. And we're not. We're simply not going and connecting with people. So once we get a hold of it and we decide that we're going to connect with people, now we have to understand, guess what? So if I decide that this is my full-time career, what does that look like? What's my strategy? Some of you are like, oh, well, I don't have a strategy. Then you need to be in class. You need to be in the Reactivate Me community. Reactivate Me is actually going to be one of the sponsors for the Speak Easy podcast, and it is a weekly accountability call for entrepreneurs. For those of you that have been saying, I want to make this full-time as a speaker, I want to be full-time as the author, I want to be full-time and be able to put myself in a position to walk off of my job. I understand that. I want to have my voice heard. I want to make it successful. I understand that. And so for the end of this year, we're doing everything is about impact. So they just did a training on webinars. They're going to be doing trainings on telesummits, on public speaking, on podcasting, on everything. So when they hit the first quarter of 2019, we are going to go, and it's going to be an all-out fight for success. Oftentimes, people in the new year, they have this fumbling stage. So we fumble because we're trying to get our health in order and we're trying to get our finances in order and we're fumbling through things. But when we really look at it, guess what? We're not making any money. We're not marketing the same. We're struggling. We're like dragging through because it's the beginning of the year. I don't know if you guys are still like hungover by February, March, but at some point we gotta do better. We have to look at what it is that we're doing and say, okay, so that's really not the way for this to be a success. I really do need a strategy. And that means that I need to have somebody who's going to sit me down and help go over the strategy and hold me accountable. A lot of times in the beginning of the year, we'll do vision board parties. At the end of the year, we'll do vision board parties and SMART goals. But the reality is your vision board party, your SMART goals mean absolutely nothing if you do not have someone holding you accountable. And so I'm sure that in the beginning, Matt may have had some times where he was just like, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. But there's always going to be somebody that you can invest in or someone that you can talk to and connect with that is going to tell you, no, you know what? You're going to make this happen. You're going to make this a success. There is no other option. There is no replays. There's no retakes. No retakes, babe. This is it. Today is not coming back around again. Can we be honest? Today will never be here again. Take advantage of today while it is here. It will never be back. Yesterday is not coming back. And so whatever you were supposed to achieve yesterday, it needed to be done yesterday. Whatever you need to do today, it needs to be done today. Tomorrow will have its own set of problems, its own opportunities, but you have today, you have right now. And for some of you, you've been pushing and saying, I want to write a book. I want to write a book. Why haven't you? I've given you access to some of the expert coaches and expert mentors and experts in brand strategy and writing the book and publishing. I've given you experts in all of these different areas and these different industries for a reason, because you have no excuse not to get started today. None. What are you supposed to be doing so you can reach your $50,000 a month? And even it may not be $50,000 a month for you. It may just be $20,000 a month. It may just be an extra $5,000 a month. But what do you need to do today to make that a reality? How much marketing do you need to do? Who do you need to connect with? Yes, you can be a successfully paid author, a successfully paid writer. This can be your full-time career, but you got to be willing to put in the work. There's not going to be any success without you putting in the work. So I understand that it's a process. I've been there. I've gone to events, had the vendor table, and sold absolutely nothing. I've gone to events and spent more money than what I brought in. I've gone to events and there wasn't anybody to sell to. You have to understand that these are all part of the process. This is the journey. I've done it. I understand. But now it's the time to shift. So again, like I said, right now, fan fiction is everything. So if you're somebody that's a writer, how are you utilizing that and tweaking that for your business? How are you tweaking that to be able to, grab a hold of a different audience, to expand your audience, to expand your reach and your clientele and customers? How are you using that? Right now, there's a big boom in coaching. How are you using that? Even as an author, you can do coaching. As a speaker, you can do coaching if that's what falls in line with what it is you want to do. Understand, it's about the strategy. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you again for joining us for another episode of the Speak Easy podcast, where we talk about the behind the scenes of what it is to be the speaker or the author. I am your host, Altovise Pelzer, the voice coach, professional speaker, certified life coach, and Amazon bestselling author and podcaster. And again, today's episode is sponsored by Reactivate Me, the Reactivate Me Accountability Group. It is a weekly virtual accountability call. I can't talk today. That gives you the support that you need as an entrepreneur, as an author, as a speaker, gives you tools and resources, but it also gives you a time to come together, ask questions, and get some of the resources and things that you need for your business to be successful. For more information, go to bit.ly/get reactivated. That's bit.ly/get reactivated. And hey, listen, I have some bomb interviews that are coming this way, guys. So I'm excited for you to be able to hear them as guests, talking to you and giving you their insight as experts. But I also know that some of you would love to be on the platform as well. If you're an author or a speaker, I would love to have you as a guest. Go to bit.ly/Speak Easy Podcast, all lowercase, in order for you to sign up for your opportunity to be a guest here on the show. With that being said, guys, check it out. Don't forget, check it out over on iTunes, bit.ly/Speak Easy Podcast Show, and give us a review. I'll be looking forward to it, and I'll come back and talk to you guys personally. And thank you for watching this episode. Until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.